Blessings and wholeness, family. One love. Just you here. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Having a pretty beautiful day. Gotta give thanks. Sending love right now to all my family and friends out in California. I'm going to start off with a digital blessing and share a little bit about some herbs, especially for a smoke, and just a few books and stuff, and we'll see. I may be joined as usual by Jerome and Nabiha. It sounded like we'll see what their schedule is like today. Greetings. I'm 6 of 7. Greetings. Welcome to a quick little digital blessing of some Palo. Blessed with fire. I'm Aries, triple Aries. So even though these fires are devastating, fire is a purification and a cleansing, and it's a transmutative force. So blessings to all you, my family. Hey there, Perry, my brother. Great to see you there. One love. Oh my gosh, been missing you and thinking about you, my friend. Welcome any and all to join on this live with me. I'm just gonna share about herbs and breatharianism and stuff. And yeah, I've been thinking a little bit. I have my uncle died this past week, and he lived in close to where the fires are happening, and the rest of my family is there. So they had to, go through losing their patriarch and being displaced by fire and watching everything burn. So I really feel for everyone out there, and start a little bit about herbs that you could use if you're in the California area and you're being impacted by smoke. A little bit of sort of basic herbalism theory of energetics is like we're working with warming and drying or inflammatory conditions, or cooling and moistening sort of demulcent conditions with herbs and in the body. So smoke is obviously going to create inflammation in the lungs. It's going to scar and burn lung tissue, particularly the fine cilia hairs on the lungs get kind of scorched by dust and smoke and things like that. So my go-to herbs for that would be mullein. Also slippery elm would be a really good one. At that rate, you could actually probably use licorice to some good effect. I also like elderberry because that targets the alveoli sacs, and then cordyceps mushrooms. That increases the volume of oxygen intake and will just tone and strengthen the lung meridian. These are also herbs that I thought, was another reason why I wanted to bring them into the live, is interchangeably they can be supportive for breatharian lifestyle, especially if you live in an area, that's, high pollution, or, if you smoke cannabis. I smoke cannabis, so I use these herbs to help relieve, any trauma I'm creating. Something I know I will release eventually. Had some, that's the whole thing of the breatharian path, is realizing the secrets are in the secretions. All of the experiences, all of the neurochemistry that you want to access are already directly inside of you. So it's about unlocking them with the practices of fasting and meditation and energy cultivation, sexual temperance. So so I those would be the herbs I would suggest if you're being impacted. I also have a formula that has cordyceps, elderberry, and mullein if you're in need. There's also, just wanted to share this product. This is just something you can get on Amazon, bulk supplements, cordyceps extract, and I would suggest you get a 10x extract, because that's how much you need. 200 250, or I think it's a 200 milligram dose of extract to have an effective dose daily. And you need to take these herbs are going to be most beneficial. All herbal regimens or dietary practices, anything you want to get some real headway on, you're going to need to practice or work with for 4 to 6 weeks. And it can be really a joyful thing of connecting in with plant medicine and the relationship and the healing they provide, the energies and stuff. So just wanted to share about that quickly to support any family or friends out there dealing with these fires. So it's one thing, to sort of reflect on how it began or point fingers and blame, but there's also just the support that needs to happen that's more important. So I hope that's helpful. And on that, I also wanted to share today, Jerome and I got to talking, and he asked me about books that really changed my life. And let me get my list, because this is the short of the long list. And it started for me really in high school with Be Here Now. That was actually the first book I think I chose to read that I enjoyed. I had read a few before that I was forced to read for school, but and it really transformed my whole worldview. And around the same time, I also read A Shaman's Apprentice, Carlos Castaneda, because I was very interested in herbalism, healing, shamanic healing, all that kind of stuff. And that was another transformative book. Other ones are like the Emerald Tablets, the Tao Te Ching, the Dhammapada, Shantideva's Way of the Bodhisattva, and my favorite book of all time is The 10,000 Songs of Milarepa, which is written by wasn't written, he never wrote anything down, but he was a hermit that lived in the Himalayas, lived for years just off nettles, and then became breatharian, but he would accept food as offerings, when people came to offer to him. If he saw the offering as worthy, he would accept it, so anyway, those books, all those books, I could, go into deep detail on why they're meaningful to me, and the philosophical principles of, and maybe there's going to be time for a discussion about that online. It's another thing I wanted to hop on here about is I'm just feeling less inclined to be on social media and interacting with technology. The more I learn about it, and the more I understand, that it was, the internet was created by DARPA, that Steve Jobs wouldn't let his kids, have devices, that, if you've ever seen that movie on Netflix, The Social Dilemma, it talks about the AI and the supercomputers that are pointed at all of us, psychologically analyzing us. Sometimes they can even tell when a woman is pregnant before she can, because of just fluctuations of voice and these things. And I think it leads down the timeline of becoming the great aliens. And just to quickly go over this is a theory I heard long ago in the UFO community, but it's also something that I see to be pretty true. It also corresponds with Native American philosophy, that we're living in a time where we can choose technology, the technocracy, the control system, digital bank currency, all of the, implants, etc., virtual reality, or we can choose nature. And it's basically also a choice between fear and love. Are you choosing the a technocracy because you fear not being able to be viable in, today's economy without technology. And so I have always wanted to just be a natural human being. So I don't know, I just feel myself naturally moving away. I love my relationships here. I love the creative fun of creating content, and spreading the vibe and the love about permaculture and herbalism and stuff. But so whatever the case, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm weighing all this out in my soul right now. There's Nabiha. One love, my sister. You're welcome to join if you feel called to. I know her and I were talking about this a little bit on our last live. I also have some books here that are other books that were very influential to me. My mom was a librarian, so books uh, at first they felt foisted on me, but now they're a great source of comfort. I find them to be like a meditation and to be very, they'll point out things that I reflect that are in my own soul, So looks like Nabia's gonna join. I wanted to read to you a couple passages here at some point. Let's see. Let me see. I don't know why it's not letting me let you on, sister. I go through this every time. I think I have to decline or cancel and then invite you. Let's see if that works. Try that. Hey, Navita.
Hello,
Lucky to
brother.
love.
Can you see me?
I can see you. How you doing,
Okay.
my friend?
Good. I just woke up from a nap.
I similarly was like taking a nap with my cat, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go live. I better get
Oh,
up." So
nice. I didn't even know you had a cat. Thought you just
yeah,
had dogs.
he's on my lap right now.
Oh,
So
that's cute. Yeah, cats are good at taking naps.
they are,
Hi,
and then
Danny.
there's all this study. Hey, Danny. There's all this study. Hey, Rajules. About cats and their vibration, like their
Mm,
purring, and the health effects. Um, it's like very healthy for you to have a cat
nice.
purring on your chest or your lap. Um,
Nice. I'm low key allergic to them. It's like
yeah.
we love each other from afar, but they really like to come, and cuddle and everything. I just have to wash my hands and my face, and I get a
they
little
really,
reaction from them.
they really connect with energy. Every time I got my dog out. Every time I sit and every time I do qigong or I sit and meditate, the animals all come like gather around. You know,
Mhm.
you like the vibe.
Yeah, I really love their energy though. The cats,
Yeah,
they mind their own business. They just, do their own thing.
yeah.
They come and cuddle with you whenever they want to. They're not clingy.
Hmm.
And yeah, they're always napping. I like that.
Yeah, Sebastian here is a tuxedo Maine Coon, so supposedly
Ooh,
those were the ones that were revered by the Egyptians, and he came to us on a full moon on Halloween, and
wow.
I think my kids had eaten mushrooms or something, and
Hmm.
I came in, I was asleep, and I came into the living room, and my son was like, "Dad, can we keep this? Can we have a cat?" And I was like, "What? We'll talk about it in the morning."
Yeah.
But I didn't think he had the cat on his lap. It was too late. The cat was already
In the
like
house, right? She was
part of the family.
invited. He, oh.
Yeah, but
Is it a he or she?
it's a he, and
Nice.
it's interesting because the Egyptians had this great reverence for them, and you can really tell they're very like psychic beings. They're very like kind of wise
Hmm.
uh, energy, and there's this whole thought of like the sort of the lion tribe, you know. of like literally the cat people, sort of, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
that have, you know, that are lion-hearted, emotionally warm, but very fierce, you know.
Nice.
And even if it's just stories, I love it. You know, it's like
It's
it
all
rings true.
stories, isn't it? Anyway, it is
It
all
is.
stories. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
which story is better than the other? We don't know, but we like one more than the other for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
many
haven't had
stories.
a cat yet now, but yeah, I like them. I think Daniel got one, Jerome got one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife is kind of allergic too, but between taking herbs and keeping it clean and keeping them out of the bedrooms, it seems to be okay. But yeah, I don't know.
Nice. Nice. So
Jerome's
how's
here.
your day?
Jerome here. Let me welcome Jerome on real quick. Jerome, you're welcome to join us if you like, my brother. I see you're there. My day's been pretty good. It's been sort of low key. You know, I keep trying to have like a down day, and every day I have a mixed day instead, which is fine. Like
Nice.
part work, part downtime. So at least it feels a little balanced. But you know,
Nice.
winter is my usually my downtime. You know, where I'm more resting and working with the herbs and working with the health coach. This year, you know, I'd like to make some changes. I
Hmm.
love gardening, but I'm literally addicted to it, and I need to like cut
What
myself
are the
off.
changes you want to make?
Just you know, to move more into the health coaching and serve, you know, the family that way, do more design, maybe
Yeah.
do larger scale projects or community projects in the design realm. You know, I really like to help change the face of the earth. There's my brother. Hey, Jerome.
Hey there.
Welcome, my friend.
Hello. The sun is
Great
shining
to
over there.
see you.
Hey, great to see you.
Good to
Yeah.
see you
How
too.
you guys doing today?
Doing amazing.
How's your cat doing?
Oh, he's good. He's good.
We were just talking about cats.
The cat people. Someone told me
That's
once
all the
that
cat people.
the
Yeah.
cat people are about emotional warmth, and I feel that.
Say it again.
And someone told me that the cat people are about emotional warmth, and I resonate with that. You know, it's
Yeah.
like it's a vibration to carry, to be. There's the whole astrological aspect, you know, of Leo the lion. You know,
Hmm.
that's that is connected with the heart. You know, to be lion-hearted. You know, to be courageous and compassionate.
Hmm.
So the cat kind of signifies that. You know,
Nice.
like you were saying, you know, he's not like needy, and you know, but you know, loves to cuddle, loves to share love, but you know, and fierce.
Yeah.
One of my one of my Buddhist uh, teachers was talking about how, you know, the difference between good and evil, and
Hmm.
how really it's just a judgment. Like we don't like people eaters because we're people, right? But like a cat to us is like a sweet little baby. To
Hmm.
a mouse is a cat is a giant monster, giant toothy monster. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And we make all these judgments about things, but it's just the value we give them.
yeah.
Different ancient.
I witnessed that in Costa Rica when I was in Costa Rica in Puerto Viejo.
Mm-hmm.
Puerto Viejo. That was when I witnessed that there were these two cats in the hostel that I stayed in, a hostel in Puerto Viejo,
Mm-hmm.
and I was up at like 2 in the morning and I witnessed this cat like she was tearing this mouse to shreds, like she was tearing it to shreds. But she was doing it in a playful way, like as if it was like it was just a like a little toy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she was playing with the mouse like a toy. Like she would claw at it and then wait for it to like scurry away, and then she would grab it and then she would put it down and then try to let it go away. And then she would grab it and then she would put it down and let it run away. And then she would grab it and then
Yeah.
she would put it down and let it run away. And she did that for like a whole 30 minutes, like a half hour to like 45 minutes. She was just playing with it and you could hear it like squeaking and squealing. And
Mm.
then finally, when it was done, like when it was just, there was nowhere else to go, you could hear her like, you know, yeah, eating into it. But
Hmm.
that was I was able to witness something I had not seen before, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
saw nature, that nature, yeah,
You know, I
and it
think, you know, for a lion to eat something, it has to hunt it down.
exactly,
Like it's in their nature. Like it's not food unless they hunt it,
yeah,
you know. So I feel like, you know, cats are just a mini lion, and they have the same habits because of it's just another lion. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to hunt the mouse, you know, it's like it's hunting, and it can't eat unless you actually torture it like that. You have to run after it and chase it and put it down and chase it and, you know, kill it, and that's when it becomes a meal for them. And it's just that nature of lions. If you put the meat in front of the lion, it's not gonna be like a meal for them, you know. So I think the cats are just like a lion.
Well, cats in captivity are fed and eat that way, but it's not, it doesn't have, cats in captivity don't have the psychological well-being that a wild cat does. And
But I
it's
mean, like, have you
interesting.
seen a shark? You know, I used to have a shark, and when I put the shark in a small tank, it dies. Because for the shark to eat something, it has to like come circle around, circle around. The shark cannot stand still. The shark has to be in movement all the time. So
Mhm.
if you give it a small little tank and it can't move around the way it used to move around, it will die of starvation. Literally, it would just die because of it doesn't have like a space and it can't eat. So it's just how they eat, you know. So I
This
think
is
the cats need to chase like that.
you
this
had
is super,
shark,
Hmm.
yeah.
a shark, like a pet shark.
Yeah,
Oh
in a
yeah,
tank though. It's not. Yeah.
the small sharks,
Shark. They
big
they
little
they
sharks.
can they can get like, yeah, they can get like the same size as my arm. They can't like, they can't be that big. They can't get too big. If
I,
you put
I
them in the
had a,
ocean, yeah.
I had a
I mean,
neighbor in college who had pet alligators in his bathtub, you know, and it's an interesting subject of like, in the Buddhist perspective, of course, there's like the different realms based on karmas, in the animal realm, the animals have to, like the predatory animals, like the wolves and the, cats and the alligators and the, they have to chase and hunt and kill,
mhm.
you know, and it's a painful, like lions, male lions have a terrible life,
Mhm.
traumatic, brutal, violent lives, and, it goes into the realm of, they talk about them like hungry ghosts. And this whole thing around hunger that you and the three of us are all exploring in breatharianism. If I could, I'd like to read this. This is like a perfect segue. Because, you asked me about books last time, Jerome, and I'm reading this book right now that's really hitting me. Every chapter of this book, Rating Sweetgrass, I cry. Like, it's so beautiful the way she evokes the interdependence and the connection we have with all beings. And she's talking about this aspect of hunger, you know, as like a psychological thing almost. And so, if I could, let me just read this to you. So, this is about um, the Wendigo, which is a legendary monster of the Anishinaabe people, the villain of a tale told on freezing nights in the North Woods. You can feel it lurking behind you, a being in the shape of an outsized man, 10 feet tall, with frost-white hair hanging from its shaking body, with arms like little tree trunks, feet as big as snowshoes. It travels easily through the blizzards of the hungry time, stalking us. She's talking about the hungry time. That in the winter, there's a time when there's no food, you know, um, for like a month or two. So they call it the hungry time. The hideous stench of its carrion breath poisons the clean scent of snow as it pants behind us. Yellow fangs hang from its mouth that is raw where it has chewed off its lips from hunger. Most telling of all, its heart is made of ice. Wendigo stories were told around the fire to scare children into safe behavior, lest the Ojibwe boogeymen made a meal of them, or worse. This monster is no bear or howling wolf, no natural beast. Wendigos are not born, they're made. The Wendigo is a human being who has become a cannibal monster. Its bite will transform victims into cannibals too. When I come in from the rising blizzard and peel off my ice-coated clothes, there is a fire in the wood stove and a simmering pot of stew. It wasn't always that way for our people. When the storms would bury the lodges and food was gone. They name this time when the snow is too deep and the deer are gone and the caches are empty, the hunger moon. It's a time when the elder leaves to hunt and never returns. When sucking a bone is not enough, the infants follow. After too many days, desperation is the only soup. Starvation in winter was a reality for our people, particularly in the area of the Little Ice Age when winters were especially hard and long. Some scholars suggest the Wendigo mythology also spread quickly in the time of the fur trade, when overexploitation of game brought famine to the villages. The ever-present fear of winter famine is embodied in the icy hunger and gawing maw of the Wendigo. As the monster shrieked on the winds, the Wendigo stories reinforced the taboo against cannibalism. When the madness of hunger and isolation rustled at the edges of winter lodges, succumbing to such a repulsive urge doomed the gnawer of bones to wander as a Wendigo for the rest of time. It is said that the Wendigo will never enter the spirit world, but will suffer the eternal pain of need, this essence of hunger that will never be satiated. The more a Wendigo eats, the more ravenous it becomes. It shrieks with its craving, its mind a torture of unmet want. Consumed by consumption, it lays waste to humankind. But the Wendigo is more than just a mythic monster intended to frighten children. Creation stories offer a glimpse into the worldview of people, how they understand themselves, their place in the world, and the ideals to which they aspire. Likewise, the collective fears and deepest values of a people are also seen in the visage of the monsters they create. Born of our fears and our failings, Wendigo is the name for that within us, which cares more for its own survival than for anything else. You know, this propensity to just be thinking about me all the time, hungry and what I want. I want this future. I want this money. I want this food. You know, gimme. And it goes into the proportion where we're destroying the planet. You know, we've become Wendigos, you know, always hungry, always needing more. And, you know, to me,
Consumers.
but what's that?
We are the consumers,
Yes.
you know.
When our natural form is the creators, but we've
Yeah,
become,
but we become the consumers, basically, like billions and billions of people are just consumers in all kind of ways. Like, so that's why the whole world is just a corporate world, you know.
no, Tima goes into it in his book. If you remember, he talks about how basically all of industry and, our economics are just created needs, not actual needs. You know, just like the
Yeah.
thing that we're experiencing and exploring with food. It's
Every
not the need
food
we
is just like a pill, you know. Like you eat something salty, you want something savory, you know, you want sweet, and then you want to eat sweet, you want something sugar, you want this and you want that. All of it is just like it's all these chemicals that are just making us want to consume more, you know. You go to work just to fix your fix, you know, to eat is your drug. So you work for your drugs, and then you work for your other addictions, which is like wanting a house, When you get the house, you want something else. Maybe you want to get an island now, or you want to get this and that. It's never enough because you have that consumer mindset, you know. So
Cars,
yeah,
clothes, yeah,
that's
just
what this journey
everything.
is about, right?
Mhm.
To
It's
be like,
accumulation.
say it again.
Sorry, I would
No,
say
no, no.
just
I'm for you.
it's accumulation. This pattern of accumulation of hoarding. You know, when nature's
We are
freely
designed.
giving us everything all the time. You know,
We are
just the fact
designed
that we
that,
have. Mhm.
unfortunately. Yeah,
I I think it's
unfortunately.
I think a lot about some of the like esoteric knowledge of like the Egyptians, for instance, say that this body is just a seed for a higher dimension, you know, but you have to, plant the seed in the dirt and water it and tend it, you have to grow yourself, you know.
Mikael, jag ska ge dig. Gå
Yeah,
in.
Just
Jesse, Drake is asking what the book title was again. Was Sweet Garden or Sweet Grass?
Jag ska ge dig.
Braiding Sweetgrass by
Läsa dem, Mikael.
Robin Wall Kimmerer.
Braiding Sweet Grass.
It's a really good book
Okay.
about the importance of our connection to the ecology, and I think it's easy in the digital realm that we've all, put ourselves into so much. And, I think it's also tempting for us as breatharians to be like, oh yeah, we just like support it all the time. But, to take responsibility for our world and our relationships, to care for the planet, as beings of higher consciousness, take the responsibility to care for land and for other beings and for, people, to take on that mode of being a creator and a nurturer rather than a competitive consumer, grinding and, you know, to more of a mode in nature where we follow our natural inclination and timing. We rest when we need to rest. We work when we need to work, and the work is working on ourselves and working on the land, and healing the land. Because what's going to be there for the future generations? Everything that's happening in LA right now is just, part of an outgrowth of our bad stewardship of land, you know. Um, so,
I
ideally,
mean, whatever that's happening in LA right now happens every day around the world. It happens
it,
every day. But when it
yeah,
comes, when it happens around our
like
corners, then we take it so seriously. But it happens every day.
not like
People are
this,
losing their homes every day. Oh yes, it
but
happens around the world every day.
surely, but this
They
scale,
just
the
don't show
mass,
you,
yeah.
huh?
No, oh, I know, it's everywhere. There's been, volcanoes popping off in Ethiopia. There's stuff going on
I
all the
mean, it's
time.
just not natural catastrophe, but there are like, bombs going off here and there with the same
Exactly.
strategy that happened now in LA, it's happening everywhere. They're just happening in a different way, using different laws and different things. But yeah, the corrupt is real, whether it is our neighbor or if it is like far away from somewhere in, Syria. This has been happening in Palestine. It's been happening every day,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Indeed, and that's, I mean, to just cultivate that, I really resonate with the sort of the whole Buddhist idea of just cultivating uh, the bodhicitta mind, a loving heart mind, and
Hmm.
just emanate that out and help who you can. The small moves, worlds,
Yeah,
what we can do in our immediate sphere of influence, our friends, our families, and whatever people on Instagram, friends. That way, if we can create some positivity, and benefit, then
absolutely.
it's well worth the work. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
We can
I
fight
think
war with love.
I I think we need that practical approach to things at this point too. It's like, you know, enough to. I remember with Ellie Tom once. He was here and he was, teaching and sharing, and he said to me something like, do you really want to be spiritual? Like, do you really know what spiritual is? You know, because we think of it as kind of like, you know, I don't know, talking the talk and meditating and wearing gems or, you know, whatever. But it's really all the practice, all that meditation, all that stuff is supposed to support us through um, the difficult work of helping other beings, like, you know, uh, traverse their trials, you know, and being able to traverse our own trials, be empowered and confident in that path, you know, starting with that, because how are you supposed to help anyone else? You can't do it for yourself, you know.
It
Um,
starts with you for sure. It all
but
starts with you.
but
If you help yourself, you help the world. You know, that's the easiest way because everybody wants to stretch their hands and help everybody else. But it's just when we help ourselves, that's how we help the world. I really truly believe that. Once I started to
100%.
help myself, that's the only time I could help anyone around me, you know? Yeah. What is
Gives
your
you,
take, Jerome? You're
yeah.
quiet.
Yeah, you know, I definitely keep a full cup when I can, you know, to not be pouring from an empty cup. I do a lot more things offline than I do online for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. That's awesome. Yeah, that's such a key point because, you know, I think pretty much everyone has it in their heart that they want to help,
Mm.
you know, but the obstacles, you know, have the inner obstacles have to be overcome to be able to be in that position of being able to be helpful, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The healed can heal, you know, but it's an ongoing thing. Like trauma and healing is a endless cycle, you
I
know.
mean, it takes you your whole life, and you have a whole life to keep on going.
Well, literally your cells dividing, them splitting apart as they do every day to, you know, multiply and you know, populate your body and recreate your body is a traumatic experience. That's separation, you know. It's
Hmm.
and difficult and energetically hard for the cell to do that, but it does it. And then what you get is this unity of being, you know.
Yeah,
So,
that reminds me of a book Jerome and I read. I think Lauga said something about
Oh yeah.
the secret to his longevity was, you know, to separate this whole reality and then bring it back to it again. Like, you know, like how was it again? He said something about
Yeah.
separating the reality and then putting it together again. You know, it was like a puzzle. Like everything goes like this, and then you just bring it back again, and you bring it back. So life is about that. You know, somehow. I don't know how did he put it. I
Yeah.
don't remember the
It was
phrase. But
One of Kiyoshi's mentors in the book we read, and he was yeah, Lao Ge. He was one of the mysterious characters involved with the esoteric because nobody really knew how old he was. You
Mhm.
know, like he would talk about people that were that lived centuries ago, but he would talk about them like oh yeah, I remember when I met so and so, you know, like I remember, you know, meeting them and you know, they weren't all they were cracked up to be, and it's like, wait a minute, how old are you? You know, like they were centuries ago. Like, wait a minute. So it's, you know, it's assumed that he was centuries old, like that he was well over 200 years old for the people that he knew, you know, on a first name basis that he was talking about. But he had a meditation technique where he would put himself back together again. You know, kind of like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. You know, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. You know, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together. You've heard that story.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
he basically performed the Humpty Dumpty on himself through visualization and meditation. So he was putting the cellular makeup of his body, like organizing everything. Okay, this doesn't need to be there. This doesn't need to be, okay, this goes here, this goes there. but he did it all internally, and through that process, he could live indefinitely just through his mind, just through the meditation. Yeah.
That's interesting because it reminds me exactly of Milarepa, my big hero, Milarepa,
Mm.
because
Hmm.
there's just all these stories and tales. Like his whole life telling is like was just gathered by other monks, or yogis, and people. But he was at a certain point he was becoming too popular, and the monks weren't happy about it because he was getting all of the, you know, offerings, and they thought, who is this guy out here just in the hills, just like he's not like a scholar like us and everything, and they to go debate him and kind of debase him, you know, and so they're talking, and he's like, well, what do you think, monks? Is space something you can move through fluidly, or is it obstructed? And they're like, well, it's obviously fluid, and he like did a little mudra, and they found himself frozen, you know. And then he said, what do you think, monks? Is this rock here fluid, or is it, hard and material? And they're like, well, it's hard. And they pressed his hand in the rock. And you can actually go to the cave today in Tibet and go see the handprint where he pushed his hand deep into the rock. His footprints too. He would, stick them into the rock to create faith, not to show off, but to, show that.
It's
And
all in
there's
your
a
mind.
book. There was a book at a certain point. I got my hands on it, but I never got a chance to read it. It kind of slipped through my fingers, but it was about Chinese super psychics, these kids that are born where they can like walk through walls and, stuff like that. It's like there's this crazy potential. That was another thing you asked about this book, um, Jerome, Spiritual Nutrition.
Yeah.
And in this book, like, there's a whole, I would take the time to read. There's a thing about inedia in here and breatharianism, but also about, how your bones are, for instance, are piezoelectric, pyroelectric, semiconductors, and superconductors. That means they're frequency resonator crystals that can basically create energy or reverberate energy, and that your body is like this self-organized energy field. You can become a superconductor. And there's like these tales of, rainbow light body transformation, or people. There's like this rabbi that was a breatharian who was like a mystic, and the Nazis put him in a cave and walled up the cave because he was kind of causing trouble for them because people had so much faith in this guy. And they left him for like 10 years or 5 or 10 years, or I forget what, long time. And they went back and took the wall down, and the guy was still alive in there, and his eyes were blazing, and they were like, freaked out. And there's tales in the Vedas of people living like one in breath is like a millennia, and one out breath is another millennia. So I think there's this kind of potential available to us.
I
I
mean,
have to switch position.
it's all in the mind, right? It's all
Yes,
in the mind. One breath can be, a second, and one breath can be 100 years. It's all in your mind.
right.
It's all in your mind. It's not like a breath will become like 1,000 years of the mind that we carry today. So when we lose this mind, that's why the rock is not a rock, because of that a rock is a solid thing. It's just in our mind, right? That the water is fluid. It's just in the mind. So those are programs. So when you lose the programs, there is no such thing. There is no such thing as time. So one breath can be thousands of years. One intake can be thousands of years because the concept of of the time is just bound to the mind. So at the
The,
end of the day, all it's saying is like lose the mind.
the trick is to break the mind's hold on the concept. without creating violence to the mind, basically.
Exactly.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
I think it takes this concentration of thought to be fully committed, 100% in, willing to put yourself on a line, you know, to be able to, you know, that the thing about faith is you have to disregard what you're seeing and experiencing with your
Losing the
five senses and move beyond them, Um,
it's
so, and
it takes time.
real
I would
faith
think like,
doesn't require proof, you know what I mean, so to speak. Um,
yeah, I would just think like if I was to myself, like just walking around trying to figure out what this life is, and going to these different mountains, trying to just, figure myself out. My whole journey will be about losing the mind, the concept of the mind. So at the end, I need to come to a point where I'm not bound to the reality of the mind, that the reality that's created by the mind. You see
that's
what I'm saying? So my whole journey would be like, okay, how can I? Because the breatharian journey, it's not like, I know a lot of people made it out of like, okay, food and this and that, and staying away from water, staying away from food, but it's just losing the concept of
yeah.
the mind, right? Whatever that's holding you back. Because a person will just want to have like longevity, not understanding like, hey, it's not like you're gonna live for 300 years, but you need to lose the concept of the time, so you can live forever. Because of now, when you have time in your mind and you're calculating everything from a point to a from point A to a B, and you're going from here to there, now you are limited by time, right? So you are bound by time then. But when you lose the concept of it, then you become immortal,
Well,
when you know.
supposedly Milarepa would like bilocate too. Like he could stay in the cave and go talk with his students somewhere else, you know.
Mhm,
And um, one of the tricks I've been working with around this that I think is useful, I'd like to share, sorry to interrupt, is just to stop trusting your thoughts. We
mhm.
get so hooked up on our thoughts
I
and
mean,
their
believing them is what gives them
believability,
power.
yeah, uh, believing in them, and you know, uh, they're all just thought. They're all figments of your imagination. They're all
Mhm,
literally just mind stuff.
mhm,
And where's the thought that you were thinking this time last week? Can you tell me the thought you were thinking this time last week? You know,
mhm.
how
I
good is your
Everything is
memory?
based on just thought. Your whole day is just like a lot of thoughts accumulated, and then they create this picture. Now, like if you were thinking like all miserable thoughts all day long, then your whole day would reflect that, right? So it's just like everything is based on the thought, but what is it that you believe in? Do you believe in every thought? Like trusting is a different thing. Like you have to trust yourself to a degree, but it's like, do you have to believe in everything? So everything, you have to become everything, because it's in that belief.
I think you
So
have to trust yourself first and foremost,
mhm,
beyond your senses, what your inner guides are telling you.
mhm.
What your
But it takes
innermost.
time also to differentiate what's real, what's not real, what's from the mind, what's actually intuition, all of that. It takes time. So every day you're kind of filtering everything out, and whatever you grab, that becomes your reality. But can we train the mind to know that this is actually a reality we are creating by our own thoughts? Can we accept that? And once you know that that's what you're doing every day, now you can shift your thoughts, and now you can create a different reality. And then you can tune in and tune in and tune in and tune in more and more until you actually lose this concept of this is just a play. So like you will lose the concept of like everything that's so serious. Like, oh my God, I'm gonna live for this long and I'm gonna die. What is the concept of dying? What is dying? Right? Now you're
Yeah,
creating a dilemma, something like you're waiting for, like it's going to happen one day. Right? So it's like, how do we want to create our reality? And
yeah.
everything is just what we believe, you know. If you believe in, yeah, this what we believe in today, breatharians, and like a lot of people believe in so many different things. Like they think they're going somewhere, they think they're achieving something. Now their whole life is just based on a mission. You're not supposed to be here on a mission. You're supposed to be here, like, you know, play, really
Hmm.
play.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the. I mean, that resonates with me. The enlightenment is more about fun, joyfulness, creation. But there is something to the training, like you're saying, meditating, sorting through the thoughts, but also training yourself in that spiritual way to be balanced, to be whole. And then you respond appropriately in every situation. You don't have to, contrive it. And if something
Hmm.
hard happens, you have more of yourself and to bring to be helpful in the situation. And so those things that people would take to be serious, if you were just
Yeah, but it's
developing it as
again,
a
we're practicing
lifestyle,
another thing.
if you developed it as a lifestyle, Buddha calls it the art of living. It's
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
like a one day thing, or like you said, the arrival. It's a everyday, always thing.
Yeah, but again, you know, the trap is here. You know, all these religions and all of these other beliefs that is holding everybody back, right? We tend to go from them and demonize that, like, oh my God, I don't want to believe in a religion. And now I have like this final religion, whatever you want to call it, Buddhism. This is, it's just another belief. Again, holding you back from something, from exploring just your ways, who you are. Okay, and what is this? Just trying to figure out what this is without clinging on to another belief. Is that possible? Is it possible for you to live joyfully without clinging on to another belief, clinging on to anything that you think like has a result? Oh, this is what I need to do in order for me to become this. Now you think like there's something better, you know, like, can we just live without believing in
You'll
something?
never you'll never have contentment if you can't create it today. If you can't experience it out today. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like you're kind of pointing at. It's like um, there's all the we can in Buddhism in Milarepa would call it blind striving. Just
Mm-hmm.
striving. Yep. You just someone said it was a good idea, so you're going after it. And we were just striving, but is all your striving giving you results? You know. So what
Yeah,
we
I
want is
mean,
results, and whatever helps us get results, whether that's to me,
you can
whether that's
create
over
the
another
results by believing in
religion
the
or
results.
another person, really all of it is inside of you, and that would be the instruction, from Milarepa is go to the pith. He calls it the pith instructions. That
Hmm.
everything is already deep in your core, and to get into your core and reside there permanently, essentially, so that you have access to your highest um, intuitions, intelligence, potential, that you're relaxed, at ease, a free mind, in all situations, and not, I see so many people, it's great, people cultivating, peaceful situations so they can practice and everything. You need that to start. But one of the things that we try as Buddhists is once you develop that is you go out somewhere hard and you try to do the same thing, like try to meditate in the middle of a mall, you know? um,
Yeah. I mean, I think life is just easier when we just don't believe in things, because it's just we create those expectations,
well, that's what
and then
I
we
meant
may not
about,
meet those expectations, and it's like, oh my God, why are you just putting like obstacles in front of you every day
that's what I
where you can just
mean about
live,
not believing
breathe?
yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, every day unfold itself, you know, the way it is, and it's fantastic. You know, whatever whatever it has, you know, and happy
Even,
full moon, by the way.
even if it's nothing. Oh, yes. Happy full moon, indeed. I was going to share about that. Full moon on Monday. Yes. But,
Is it full? Yeah,
yep.
full moon in Cancer, isn't it? Or am I just? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Happy
And
full moon.
Mars
Whatever
is
that belief brings to you
retrograde.
again.
Mars is
Huh?
retrograde in Venus, so that's like, you know, a lot of that's like a lot of the kind of undoing that's happening, including possibly the powers in LA, and the power dominant connection with Mars. So there's a lot of aspects that are up this week, astrologically, that are transformative. Supposedly, just today, we're transiting to North Node Pisces. So this is going to totally change everything for the next 5 years from the past 5 years. So can
It's
expect some
gonna change
shifts.
the whole 5 years. You
Expect
see what we
old
believe
shit to
in.
fall away that you don't need. As you go more onto your soul mission,
Mm.
which is your north node. We all, your
What?
south node is like your past lives and ways, and your north node is your evolution. So it's
Nice.
inevitable. All this stuff is inevitable, like you're saying. We don't need the contrivance. We don't need the words. But
Mm.
to drop into the experience, except if they can be way showers, to drop into the experiential, the experiencing, the living of that, which we're talking about, you know, that freedom state, the inner state of
Mm.
total spontaneity, creativity, freedom, intelligence. And that is, like you pointed out also, that's our natural state, you know, just gotta allow it.
They're talking about where they meditated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just reading the chat, and it's just funny that Daniel is talking about where's the hottest place you guys have meditated. I want to meditate in the middle of a mall now. I've meditated in the mall. I have. When I'm waiting for my nieces and stuff, I can sit there and meditate. So
It's great because it makes peace in the chaos, and then you like know the
crazy
peace
party.
in the chaos, you know. So,
When I was when I was working in Austin, Texas, I used to work as a telemarketer for a real estate brokerage, just making phone calls all day long. We'd do like hundreds of phone calls. And during the breaks, I would walk outside and I would meditate in the tree. I would climb the tree. And I'm a tall guy. So I would climb up the tree and I would meditate up there, and the branches and the leaves up at the top. And my coworkers would come out on their smoke break. So they'd be taking a smoke break and you know people don't look up,
mm-hmm.
I
you
do.
know.
I look up for chemtrails every day.
Nabiha looks up, but
And
the Nabiha's not normal, you know. Normal people, regular people, they're always looking down. They're looking down at their phone. They're looking down at their feet. They're looking down at the street. They're just walking. They're in their mind. They're looking down. They're not really looking up. Their chin is not up. So nobody would ever see me, you know. So there'd be so many conversations. I mean, it was just very interesting, just the things that people would do and the things that people would say when they thought that no one was watching and no one was listening. And then in between the work sessions, I would actually meditate. I started meditating inside. I just went off to tell me to meditate. So I would start meditating inside. And I remember one day I was meditating inside and I opened my eyes and there was my coworker, one of the girls at my job, one of the ladies there. She was next to me meditating. She was right next to me, silent, like meditating. I didn't even know
on
she
top
was.
of the tree?
No, 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 no. Inside, when I
Okay,
started meditating
okay,
inside.
okay.
So I
Okay.
would meditate inside my job, and coworkers were walking. Everybody was walking. People were going to lunch. People were going on break. They were going to the cafeteria. They were going this way, or to their cars or whatever. And I would just sit there right by the wall in the center of all the computers and all the desktops and the standing desk and the people on the phones, and I would meditate right there with everybody on the phones. And I just remember, like, after doing that for days, one day I opened my eyes and one of my coworkers, a lady that I worked with, she was meditating next to me, and I was like, wow. And she was just like, thank you for like sharing your piece, like
Oh,
thank you.
oh.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I had no idea that, I thought people were just looking at me crazy, and probably a lot of people were looking at me crazy, like, who is this guy?
People
Like,
are
why,
watching.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, what is he doing? But there was that one girl, that one lady that I didn't even know that I had an effect on her, like an impact. And she was like, I needed that, like I needed
Oh.
that breath. I needed that break. I needed that, you know?
You never know, if you're just yourself,
Right.
you never know who you really like influence, because when people come to my office, they automatically just sit on the
Yeah.
floor. I didn't understand in the beginning, but they would just walk in and they all sit on the floor.
Right.
Staff to do that, the clients just come in, everybody just sit on the floor.
Hmm.
And my floor is not like a fancy, it's like a concrete. So I wonder, like, so now I need to buy some kind of carpet or something. But people just walk in and they just sit on the floor. And it's like we're meditating all the time, because automatically I would just come down and sit on the floor too. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's, you never know who you influence. And then, I would have just staff walk in and say, like, hey, I tried your way now. And I'm like, what is my way? I only have 4 ingredients in my juice today. I can hear things like that. And
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, I don't even know when I talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm very, when it comes to like a lot of mix, I will see some people come in with smoothie that's so black because they think they put all the good stuff in there, but it
Hmm.
just becomes like poop when you just mix too many things. The body don't know how to handle it, and it just becomes poop basically. So yeah,
Wow.
when I see a smoothie that's mixed too much, I may say a little thing about like mineral matching and whatnot.
It's a these are perfect examples of the way I think we're really going to transform the world. Is it's not going to be through some mass action, some big occurrence. It's going to be,
Mm.
uh, you know, you can lend your strength and your practice and stuff to other people by just going out in the world and keeping that core, keeping your center, being in the center of the storm and being peaceful. And
Be
then
yourself.
it makes other people stronger. It makes other people. And I had a similar experience where I was sun gazing. Um, and it was when I first started my practice, and I was super vigilant about it. And I was like, well, it's time. I was just in a parking lot at a grocery store, and people were walking by, and I could tell they were like looking at me like, that guy's looking right at the sun,
Hmm.
you know. And
Hmm. Yeah.
then this one guy came at towards the end because I'd been, there for like maybe 15 or 20 minutes by then. And he came in and he just watched with me, and he was like, I saw you there. And I just really think it's important that what you're doing to just stop and take a pause. We're always running around.
Yeah.
It's like, thanks for that. And just to watch the sunset together for a few
Yeah.
minutes, you know, with a stranger, was a nice thing,
Yeah.
right? So
That's it. That's the message. That's
that's
the message.
the openness that that attitude brings, invites all the right stuff.
Just like, Nabiha saying, like when people come into your energy field, like when people come into your space, Nabiha, they already feel the meditative energy. They feel the relaxing energy. They feel they don't need to, they don't need,
Mm.
like they can let go of certain things. Like they felt good just to have 4 ingredients, right? I'm doing good,
Yeah.
you
It's like,
know?
oh my God, this is new to me. I'm doing it. And I would never like, there are some people that you would think like, okay, hey, let me talk about this. I save my energy a lot on who I tell stuff and what I tell. The content that comes out of my mouth is always customized to who I'm talking to, basically. So, I wouldn't even think that she would care about how many ingredients. I thought like maybe she was in the stage of just thinking like, okay, hey, let me eat less meat, or let me eat like less food in general, because this person is a person that eats all the time. Every time I see this person is eating, and they're eating like heavy meals, like African foods and different meats and stuff like that. So I would think maybe the steps for this person would be like questions like, hey, how can I stop this? You know, instead of like straight jumping into like juices with just 4 ingredients. But
That's what I.
she
That,
took that part of the conversation. So I thought, okay. You know, some people
that's
can really start different place, and every day I see her with a juice now, and then she asks me questions, and
that.
it's just
That's
yeah.
just to put a point on that, for the our audience, it's like that's what they train us at the Juice Guru Institute to do, and that's been my experience and how my transformation happened was subtraction by addition. Not trying
Mm,
to quit a thing. You just add a thing. You add the juice, the green juice,
mm-hmm,
whatever.
mm-hmm.
The body starts to change. You start to feel the difference. You like, oh, I was feeling, oh, that really helped with my
Nummer
energy
kommer bli
and
väck till jag är
my
färdig.
bowel movement and my sleep. And so I'm going to do that again tomorrow. And the things start to grow themselves as
Om det är växt
habits.
till dig. Jag snackar inte med dig nu. Tack. Sorry about that.
No worry. I should let you guys know I just got a warning from my phone that the battery's about to die.
Ooh,
So
okay, it's not mine today.
Okay.
yeah. So maybe
Uh,
I don't know if that's a good place to end it. I want to respect y'all's time, but
Oh yeah,
want to also be
absolutely.
sure we can save this live and share it. So, but thank you guys for coming.
yeah,
Great to see
Thank
you as
you.
always.
absolutely.
Always deep, meaningful, relationship conversations nourishing to my heart. So appreciate you guys and
Appreciate
what you bring and
you.
do and live. And thank you, family. I hope you got something from this. Sending you all the blessed.
Right.
Be well, everybody in California. Much love.
Yeah.